Greetings, it's Ian from R.T.O here. Welcome to Friday on the channel, which means it's a live album ranking. And this week we're going to do a British Neo-Prog band founded in 1981, round about the same time as Marillion. Unfortunately, the band IQ didn't have as much success as Marillion, but they still have got a very loyal following and they are still going. There's near enough the same lineup except for Martin Orford, so that's pretty impressive. They have released in their career 11 live albums, well 10 live albums and one that's part live. So we're going to have a look at them today. So coming in at number 11 is that compilation with live stuff, and it's called J'ai Pollette d'Anu. It was released in 1991 and it's a fascinating mix of rare B-sides and live recordings, and offering a glimpse into the band's transitional period between Paul Meanall and Paul Nicholas. So on here you've got on bass, acoustic guitar and vocals Tim Izu, drums Paul Cook, keyboards and vocals Martin Orford, lead guitar and acoustic Martin Holmes, vocals Paul Meanall, and it was recorded in various places at the International Manchester, the Irish Centre in Birmingham and the Berkeller in Bristol. So the first track is called It Stops, All Stops Here, which is the B-side to Barbell. It's a really good track. It just shows how good their early stuff was. And then we've got Sarah Sarah. Excuse me. This is one of the another of those little gems. It is it's the only place you'll find it. It's a song that's got some lovely keyboard runs in. It's one of their things that evokes childhood confusion and melodic sound. This is really good. Then they do a live song, and it's called Intelligence Quotient, which is off their little EP thing called 7 Stories into 8. It's really good. I love that track. Then we have Dans le Parc de Château, which is on 9 in a Pound is Here Again. Another obscure little thing. It's really, really good. It's got Peter Nichols on vocals on that, and it really is good. Then there's a little medley, live medley, and it's the Last Human Gate, mate. A little bit of that from the Tales from the Lush Attic. Brilliant piece of music. Outer Limits for the 7 Stories into 8, and then it goes back to The Enemy Smacks from the Tales of the Lush Attic. A lovely little melody, and they do It Stops, All Stops Here as well. So you've got a studio version and a live version of that song on here. Common Ground is from the Resistance album. That's pretty cool, and it rounds out with Promises off the Road of Bones. Now this is pretty good, even though it's at the bottom. It's got some real rare stuff on it, so I'm going to give that an R.T.O ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 10 is an album released in 1986, and it's called Living Proof. This was actually recorded at the Camden Palais in May of 1985. Tim Izu on the bass, Paul Cook on drums, Martin Orford on keyboards, Mike Holmes guitars, and Peter Nichols on the vocals. And it opens up with Awake and Nervous. It's a pretty good track. It's sort of a mixture of bits and bobs. Then they go to the 7 Stories into 8 for Outer Limits. A very good song that is as well. You got It Stops All Here Again, the B-side to Barbell. Lovely to hear that as well. And Just Changing Hands from the Tales of the Lush Attic. Now there's a confusion about this. Some people say it's a hidden track. I don't know. Then we get a little bit of The Wake from the Wake. Brilliant track. And then The Magic Roundabout, one of my favourite tracks off the Wake albums on here as well. There's lots of Wake on here. We've got Widow's Peak, 1,000 Days in the corners to end the album. Pretty good, catches their early days. A lot of stuff off the Wake, which was the album they were doing. At this time, Marillion were doing Misplaced Childhood, so they'd changed their direction. IQ hadn't. But it's still a really good album, so I'm going to give this an R.T.O ranking of 8.2. Okay, coming in at number 9 is an album recorded in February 2002 in Offensburg, Germany, and it's IQ 20, which celebrated the 20th anniversary of IQ. So the lineup was Peter Nichols on vocals, Mike Holmes on guitars, Martin Orford on the keyboards, Paul Cook on the drums, and John Jowett is now on bass. So they come on stage for a little bit of Hedwig's film from Harry Potter. And then they go into an Awake and Nervous from the Wake, straight into it. Carrying on from the Wake, they do a medley of 1,000 Days in the Magic Roundabout. Pretty cool how they interact them two tracks. Then we move on to a brilliant track off the 7th House, The Wrong Side of Weird, 10 minutes of more of wonderful stuff. Then they do a little medley of State of Mind, Leap of Faith, and Came Down from Ever. It's lovely how they intermingle them tracks as well. Erosion from the 7th House and the title track as well. Then they go do the middle section of the Narrow Margin from Subterranea. The middle bit is the bit with the wizardry keyboards, just changing hands from the Tales from the Lush Attics on here. Guiding Light, the 7th House, great album. The Last Human in its entirety from the Tales of the Lush Attic. Subterranea to end the album. This is pretty good. It showcases what they've done in the first 20 years. So I'm going to give that an R.T.O ranking of 8.3. Okay, coming in at number 8. Released in 2016, a part of their archive collection. It was a performance at the Met in Bury in UK, and it's live on the Road of Bones. First disc is actually the whole of the Road of the Bones. So it's Peter Nichols on lead vocals, Michael Holmes guitars, Neil Durrance on keyboards, Tim Izu on the bass, and Paul Cook. So as I said, you get the whole of the Road of the Bones album. So you get its Sacred Sound, Outer Limits, From Inside Out, Born Brilliant, The Road of the Bones, Without Walls, and then Disc 2 is tracks from other albums. You get Ocean from Ever, which is a lovely song, Riker Skies from Frequency, Guiding Lights on here from Seventh Sun Until the End, Roll of the Bones, Headlong, and Out of Nowhere from Ever, and then a brilliant rendition of The Wake. It's a this is a must here for anyone who appreciates a long form of prog compositions. It's really good. This is IQ at their best. It's atmospheric. It's raw. It's just the complex compositions, just how they bring new life into some of these old tracks. So I'm going to give that an R.T.O ranking of 8.5. Okay, coming in at number 7, double album released in 2011, part of the archive collection again, and this one's IQ 30, celebrating 30 years, and it recaptures a performance at the Boerderij Zoetermeer in Netherlands. So it's Peter, Michael, Tim, Paul, Neil, and on guest on this is Johnny Griffiths on the saxophone. The first bit is a mystical thing called El Loco Bellinici. It's not part of any studio album, it's mystique. They've described this as a secret handshake for long-time fans. The title itself is cryptal and never officially explained, which adds a little bit of charm. Then we get Outer Limits from the 7 Stories into 8, which is an absolutely wonderful piece of music. The Darkest Hour, classic from Ever. Born Brilliant from the Dark Matter, one of my favourite albums. It's a brilliant version of it. Frequency, it's the same thing. The whole of The Last Human Gateway, which is always brilliant here. Through the Corridors as well as on here from the Lush Attic album. Human Nature from Subterranea, and then we get a little medley of War Heroes, and which is from the 7 Stories 8, and Nothing at All is a very obscure track from them sessions that never made it on to the album. It is quite melodic as well. It's got some lovely tones on the keyboards on that one. And Guiding Light is another great version on this. Closer from the Frequency album. The Enemy Smacks, the whole of that from The Wake. Capricorn. Now it was not part of their studio albums. This is the only place I think you can hear it. It's just classic sounding IQ. The vocal is great. Then we have a little medley of About Lake and Awake and Nervous. Atmospheric. About the Lake 5 is another one of these little impromptu pieces of music. Some nice melodic phrasing on the keyboards. And of course Awake and Nervous is from The Wake. This is a lovely album. It does span that 30 years with lots of deep cut fans' favourites. Not just they haven't got greatest hits because they're not as big, but they really went into the sort of obscure stuff, which I really like. So I'm going to give this one an R.T.O ranking of 8.6. Okay, coming in at number 6 is an album that we released in 1996, but it was recorded in 1993, and it's Forever Live. It was recorded in Germany on the 12th of June 1993. So it's Peter, Mike, Martin Orfords on keyboards, John Jowett bass, and Paul Cook. So this opens up with The Wake. You can't go wrong with opening up with The Wake, can you? And then The Darkest Hour from Ever and Widow's Peak. What an opening 3 tracks, classics. Now then the next one is a track called Out of Nowhere. Now this, although this wasn't an album in 1993, it did eventually appear on the 2000 album, The Seventh House. So that had been hanging around in their catalogue for many years before they actually put it on an album. They had played it live a lot. Then we have Nostalgia from the No Zamo album, which is nice to see something from that album. Very underrated album. And then Falling Apart at the Seams, another classic from The Wake. Then they do the middle section of The Human Gateway, which is a fabulous piece of music from the Lush album. Fading Senses from Ever's on here. 1,000 Days, another firm favourite for the fans. Then this track called Leap of Faith. Now, again, it was done in the Ever sessions, but never made it onto the album. It's a bright track, the lovely vocal on here from Peter. It's a great track. It should have been on an album in my books. I just think it's a cool track. And then from The Wake, we've got The Human Nature, The Enemy Smacks. They've really changed that from its early, from the Tales from the Lush Attic. It's more fuller now. And then there's Headlong, another of these live exclusive pieces. It was the first time I played this. It's not on any album. It's a really nice piece with some nice keyboards and guitars on that. Then they go back to the Last Human Gateway and play the end bit. Then we've got this show actually ends with No Love Lost 2 from the Manzo. Now this is one of them rich blend of classics and stuff that had never been on albums, which is brilliant. I love how they cleverly split The Human Gateway and sort of put stuff in the middle of it. It's really clever how they did that, and I think this captures them at their best. So I'm going to give that an R.T.O ranking of 8.7. Okay, coming in at number 5, recorded at de Boerderij in the Netherlands again. It's a full performance of The Wake, and so on here we've got Peter Nichols, Mike Holmes, Mark Westworth on the keyboards, John Jowett bass, and Paul Cook on drums. So it's basically a performance that sort of was part of The Wake's 25th anniversary. So the whole album is Outer Limits, The Wake, Magic Roundabout Corners, Widow's Peak, The Thousand Eyes, and they even do Headlong from the sessions. Brilliant. You know, it's one of their early albums, and they've really given it the richness, and it's a very, very, very good version of it. I love listening to this, so I'm going to give that an R.T.O ranking at 8.8. Okay, coming in at number 4. Again, recorded at the same place in Subterranea in Netherlands. This came out in 2023, but it was recorded in 2011, and it's Subterranea live. So the band is Peter, Michael, Neil Durant on keyboards, Tim is on the bass on this, Paul Cook on drums, and Johnny Griffiths, gas saxophonist. So you get a little overture of and then you get Provider, Subterranea, Cephas Incident, Failsafe, Speak Thy Name, Tunnel Vision, Infernal Chorus, King of Fools, The Sense Insanity, State of Mind, Laid Low, Breathtaker, Capricorn, The Other Side, Unsolid Ground, Somewhere in Time, High Waters, and Narrow the Margin. Now there are 2 versions of this, which you'll find out. This one is much faster and heavier in some sections, which gave it a little bit more depth, but as a I'd still prefer the 2000 version, which we'll talk about. So I'll give that one an R.T.O ranking of 9 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 3, from 2020, a part of the archive collection. It's called A Show of Resistance, and it's recorded in Germany on the 24th of January 2020. So it's Peter Nichols, Michael Holmes, Neil Durant, Tim S.U. and Paul Cook. So this one opens up with Alapandria from the Resistance album. Really good opening track. The brilliant Sacred Sound from Dark Matter. I love that track. Shallow Bay from Resistance. From the Inside In, Road of the Bones album. Back to the Resistance for Stay Home. The Last Human Gateway from Tales of the Lush Attic. It's always good hearing that. Then Frequency from Another Lifetime from Resistance. The Road of the Bones, the title track. And A Missile from Resistance. Love that. It's really eerie. Further Away from Ever. 10 Million Demons and Subterranea. This does really, really span their career. Bits of everything. It's just a fabulous sound as well. So I'm going to give that an R.T.O ranking of 9.4. At number 2, we have Subterranea, released in 2000 and recorded in 1995 in Tilburg. Peter Nichols, Mike Holmes, Martin Orford, John Jowett, Paul Cook. Guest saxophone player on here is Tony Wright, and Michael O'Hara, the voice actor. So you get the whole of Subterranea again. I'm not going to read that again because we've already done that. And that's basically it. It's the whole of the album. Now, I prefer this version to the other one. I think it's... They've extended some of the instrumental bits, and it's a slightly altered tempoed piece, and it's absolutely stunning. it's the best sounding of the two versions, of live versions they've done. So I'm going to give that an R.T.O ranking of 9.5. But my number one, it's actually a 4 CD box set. It came out in 2024, and it's from a weekend of shows they did in Germany. So you got Peter Nichols, Michael Holmes, Neil Durant, Tim S.U., Paul Cook. So disc 1 has got an intro and then the narrow margin from Subterranea, from the Inside Out from Roll of the Bones, Fading Senses from Ever, Fail Safe from Subterranea, Stay Down from Resistor, Subterranea itself. Disc 2 has got Rise from Resistance, and The Leap of Faith is on there as well. Closer from the Road of the Bones, and Road of Bones again. The Seventh House, it's the title track, all in its glory. The Seventh House, brilliant album and a brilliant track. Frequency, the whole of that. 10 Million Roads, and then the highlight for me is the whole of my favourite album on disc 3, Dark Matter, Sacred Sound, Red Dust Shadow, You Never Will, Born Brilliant, and The Wonderful Harvest of Souls. Then for No Less Lost from Novanzo. Disc 4 has the Magic Roundabout in its entirety, from The Wake, Rise from Resistance, the whole of Guiding Light. And then they do this little thing called Last Remains Magnolia, something they wrote for this. It's a lovely piece of keyboard work and guitars. Shallow Bay from Resistance, The Road of the Bones, Headlong, which they did first on that Forever Live album, and they've really made it even better on this. Human Nature, the whole of that from Numanzo, and the middle section from the Human Gateway from Lush Attic. Now this I think this is a really good lineup of the band anyway, and it's sort of this just is a showpiece. I mean, Dark Matter is an outstanding album, and it's my favourite album anyway, but to hear it live was so impressive. The sound on this is brilliant. I mean, everything which seems to be recorded in Germany live is absolutely spot on. I just think this is a fantastic box set, so I'm going to give it an R.T.O ranking of 9.6. There we go, some IQ, a fantastic band. Don't get enough love on YouTube or in the vinyl community, because they are just fantastic. You know, it's Neo-Prog at their best. Okay, coming up next is a new album review, and it's the new album from Maroon 5, Love Is Life. So join me for that. Bye for now.